there. Welcome back. Thank you. This is a special episode. I am going to be interviewing our regional director. He is our ambassador to Cameroon, and he is also our regional director for the entire continent of Africa. Now, you're going to be so blown away by this young man. He has so much accolades, but passion for nursing. His name is Ndasi Maxwell. I will butcher his middle name, so I'll have him tell you, but I'm going to welcome him in. Welcome in, Nadasi. There you
Hi.
go.
Hello,
Hello.
Jesse.
Welcome. So you
Thank
are from,
you.
and I'm just gonna have you. You have done so much in terms of nursing. You have created an app. You're actually an instructor, so you teach a lot of different at different schools. I don't know how on earth you do it all, but you are also the nurses in charge for the entire continent of Africa. And that is a big role that's going to evolve as the years go by. But we wanted to know a little bit about you. So tell us about yourself. I don't know if I say your middle name correctly. Noubissi. I just call you Nadasi.
Yeah, I think it's preferable that way. It's preferred, like you said, you've literally said everything about me. I'm a part-time lecturer across several institutions here in Cameroon. I also happen to be the National Communications and Relations Officer for the Council of Nurses, Midwife, and
Mm,
Medical Science Professionals in Cameroon. I'm an author of a mobile app that's available in more than 80 countries already. I'm an author of a nursing treatment guide that's available too here. In short, it's being used here across our training programs as a means to dispense competence-based clinical serving educations. I also do advocate for community healthcare services across Cameroon, and I'm also doing my best to see how international educated nurses from Cameroon and from Africa can freely migrate across countries while looking into diplomatic ties too to see how the sending countries and the receiving countries properly look into the insertion of our integrated educated nurses from Africa along their continents too. So I think I'll just end here for
You
now.
are a busy man. You are busy. You have that vibrancy of your youth. And I am just so excited to get to know more about you. We've been friends on LinkedIn for a while now. And we at Nurses in Charge, we especially picked you because you were already passionate for the profession of nursing and you were already reaching beyond your own country into different lands. So, for the viewers who were looking, who are new to Nurses in Charge, who want to get to know you a little bit better, but you don't have time for one on one, right? If you were to share with them your story of nursing, what made you become a nurse? What inspired you to be a nurse?
Actually, by birth, I never wanted to become a nurse. I always had this
Yeah.
dream of becoming a medical doctor because my father used to practice traditional medicine over here, and he was kind of gifted, so he was really working. So to me, I wanted to correct that aspect of being a traditional head practitioner to a medical doctor. So I went in for the entrance exam. I think twice. I failed. Now it was kind of challenging to me. Like, how can I be like as skillful as I am? Then I'm going in for these exams, and then it doesn't work for me. So I just knew it was somehow a plan for me to change narrative based on God's plan. So I had to now shift and then look onto something that's similar, and that was
Mhm.
nursing. So I went in for the nursing entrance, and I made it. So I went for the training. Then in the training now, I really realized that it was really a call for me because there was a real gap between me and the nursing course. So it was like too easy for me to work through the course. And then I realized there was a real gap in the training because while in the training, I realized so many of our classmates, they were
Mhm.
always looking forward to me each time they were like physically challenged with health challenges because I could easily prescribe while still a nurse, while still a student nurse because I had this, I don't know, it was just a gift that God gifted to me. So I easily
Mhm.
worked through prescription lines and treatment lines. That's how the narrative was changing. Then all of a sudden, I realized that this was a call for concern because how will it be like 40 of us in the same class and just one person has the capacity to prescribe drugs at this level? So I just felt like our training program was lacking something that could give the necessary skills that would help us solve societal problems. So from there, I started investing into my concept of building a treatment guide that could help nurses now to conquer that challenge. And that's how I walked through it. And then before I could graduate from school, so my BSc, I already had my treatment guide published. So that's how the
Yes,
narrative changed. And then from that's how the
I saw
narrative
you.
changed.
You
And then from
also
there,
you teach pharmacology.
yeah, I was teaching pharmacology while still a student. And my blog
That is amazing.
my blog was covered around 50 countries. While still a student, my blog was very much visible, and I had not less than 2,000 visitors monthly. So it was really something productive, and it showed how engaged people were with my content and what I was trying to dispense to the world. So it pushed me now to now go further as far as possible to change the narrative of how can I digitalize these services so that everybody can actually have access to what I've developed. So that's how I came up with the mobile app version of my textbook, and I published. And today, I think it's making a whole lot of impact globally as nurses are being empowered on treatment measures that they could deploy at the management of various levels of their healthcare needs of the participant, based on the fact that if you really want to promote healthcare entrepreneurship, you should be able to manage certain amount of pathologies somehow medically.
Mm,
But our schemes of work and ethically does not give us that room because they believe we only work under the supremacy of a doctor, like a doctor assistant. And if you are there
mm,
to act like a doctor assistant, it means that competence of prescribing does no longer exist, except you work in an institution where there's an internal policy that gives the nurse that capacity to actually do it. So in as much as we wanted to go as far as possible, and we have also have the duty to act as an overall viewer of the quality of prescription that doctor makes, it means we should be
mm.
able to have a broader knowledge as compared to doctors, because if you really want to correct somebody's prescription, you should be able to know better. So that's why I had to dispense all this content so that at least will not be that nurses will no longer act like that assistant of a doctor that only answers
Mhm.
yes to everything he says yes. Like we even lack the courage to say this treatment line is not affordable. Like we could not even
Yeah,
advocate because we believe they have the final words when it comes to prescription and everything. So that's why
yeah.
I had to go as far as possible.
So
Mhm.
now, for our viewers who are looking in, and maybe they are part under your territory in some
Mhm.
country in Africa, if they want to access your mobile app, how will they access it? Is it open? Is it on the App Store,
Yeah,
the Play
it's
Store,
on Play Store.
Play
Yeah,
Store?
it's on Play Store. If you go on Play Store, yeah, if you go on Play Store, you just type my full names. That's Noubissi Maxwell. The app is going to pop up, and then you just download, and then you have access to the materials.
Excellent. That's excellent. I'm so proud of you. Many of our viewers, they may not know you just yet, but in my
Mhm.
eyes, when I speak with you, you put me in the mind of a young Nelson Mandela. You have that passion and that force behind you. And it's just only time where the world will see who you really are. Um,
Mhm.
Absolutely intelligent. So, as our my question that I prepared for you are if you can share with me some of the strategies and the ideas that you have to improve the quality of nursing throughout Africa. I know every country sort of have its own board. It's probably a free for all. What are some of
Mhm.
your ideas and strategies for Africa?
One of my core main strategies I'm really been investing into is to see how first we harmonize the program across Africa and the world at large. Because
Mhm.
today, the notion of nursing being universal is not being respected. Because if we claim that a profession is being universal, it means the comprehensive tool that is used to educate these nurses are supposed to be universal and unique and harmonized across all these countries. So firstly, I would like to highlight the fact that our programs are supposed to be harmonized. And then we'll go by the fact that we can use diplomatic ties across the region to make sure that we facilitate migration of these personnel across this union in such a way that we could support the healthcare systems of both countries diplomatically, And then we also go as far as possible to make nurses be welcome across the world, because today, in serving humanity, actually, you're not supposed to face any challenges because you are dedicating your life to serve people. So there should never be a day or a time where some abstract principles or policies should be made across that will limit you from migrating to meet up your demand, because naturally it's a call. It's a call. It's a vocation. Naturally, it's just that we are trying to make it look more of a profession, but naturally, nursing is a call.
It is. It is.
It's a vocation. So it means
Mhm.
you are so much dedicated to it means you are selfless. You have given your life to people. And
Mm.
if you have that core in you, people are supposed to respect that part of you, that's that dedication to the world, because it really matters. So many people want to really help across the globe. Just the fact that diplomatic ties across their countries and the other countries, and the fact that we have poor migration policies and labor laws across the globe, it makes it actually challenging for them to actually see the realization of their self-esteem. And no matter how rich a nurse can be, if your self-esteem is not actualized, you still sound like somehow like there's something is wrong somewhere in your brain. So I'm really looking into that aspect to see how nursing today can be one of the top jobs, and I mean top notch. Like if they talk of jobs today, we should be proud to say yes, we are no more a second class profession. We are more of a first class independent profession that can do what the other profession can do in the healthcare system.
Absolutely. You touch on so many very, very deep topics. And Nadasi, I know you're so much like me. We're here to elevate the nursing profession. And something that maybe many of our viewers may not know, but in Africa, you're talking about migration, but in Africa, you're facing very different challenges when it comes to nursing. Whereas in the West, we're facing shortage, you are facing abundance. And your nurses
Mm,
in Africa, it's not just they want a better life, but you have a surplus and you are dying to
mm,
get the surplus out. But before we
mm,
talk about the international, like the East versus the West, let's just talk
mm,
among Africa. So in Africa, you have many countries, and we've known for many years a lot of religious organizations have been in Africa in the rural areas doing missionary work, healthcare missionary. How do you think the nurses, where there's an abundance of nurses, can position themselves to actually help fill the needs in other African countries?
to me, you first of all have to understand which area of the country trains more and which area of the continent trains less. So if you first of all understand the gap that exists between both countries across the continent, you'll be able to allocate the right interventions. So for now, like we said, Africa is a very young continent. It's a very
Mhm.
young continent, and more than 60% of Africans are youth. And to Africa, we have this religion of always believing that education is the only wealth you can ever transit to a child. Like that's the only gift a parent can ever afford to give to a child. So we are very much dedicated to education, and education over here is also very much cost effective. Cost effective. So we have so much invested in the training of these personas. So the only thing that's holding us back is to see how the free flow of this personnel is being overcovered across this region. And to certain regions, I think all of the countries in Africa, they train abundantly.
Okay.
The only thing that's challenging with us is retention, because the government across these countries are the only they happen to be the main recruiters of these personnel, because the private
Mm.
sector is not too open, and the government has taken upon himself that they are the key providers of health to the citizens. So it's a dedication to them too. So it makes the private sector too very difficult for them to actually expatiate. And if the private sector finds it difficult to expatiate, it means the recruitment tendency automatically is going to fall down. So, and all
Okay.
of the burden goes back to the government that cannot even recruit up to 20% of the yearly trained personnel. So you see, it's very much challenging. And to a certain extent, if this procedure continues like this, automatically at a certain point in time, people will no longer have the zeal to go in for nursing programs, because they have limited access to jobs, because the private
Mm.
sector is almost not working. So we
Okay.
think the real issue is not actually at the African ground, but then what we could do at the African ground is forming an African nursing federation where all the nursing stakeholders can actually sit on ground and maybe stand up with a solidarity game and develop policies that are going to help us open our visibility at international level so that we can invite the world to really understand what happens in Africa and what Africa can also do in their healthcare system. Because today we cannot talk about diplomatic relationships with other countries without looking at the aspect of healthcare. Because no matter the economic value you give to a country, the citizens believe that health is wealth. So if you can't support them, health like it means you're actually there for business. And I think Africa is not yet ready for such schemes. In as much as we prioritize investments, we also look at strategic investment coming in for the fact that we could support healthcare systems of both memberships, countries, or continents. I think that's our basic value. We like to support each other in terms of need, and I think we've been doing it so well.
That is amazing. So now I have a question for you. What is your vision for nurses in Africa and internationally? If Nadasi, if time and politics and policies was not an obstacle and money was not an obstacle, what would your vision be for Africa and internationally?
My vision for nursing has never been two things here. My vision for nursing has always been to make nurses first. Like if nurses could be the toppest job on earth, I think that would be my highest core value. And I think we are supposed to get there. And we can only get there if we accept our unity in diversity, we keep our individual values and put our common values together. And I believe we represent more than 70% of all healthcare statistics of personnel we see in the hospital. It means statistically we have the values, clinically we have the experience, and we have the human resource. So if we sit up and identify this value commonly, I think we'll get there. We'll get there. No matter the political system, no matter the labor law, no matter no matter the individual laws, if we put our communal values together, I think we'll make Nexus great and greater than ever before.
Excellent. I agree with you. The next question I have for you is, what do you think will bring about sustainable development and changes in our profession?
What will bring us? Thank you very much for that question. I think it's very pertinent. What will actually bring the sustainability of our profession is having the right leaders. It's not just having the right leaders, but having the right nursing leaders in policy
Mhm.
making capacity bodies. Like today, we should not sit down and allow politicians declare values for us. We should no longer sit down and allow medical doctors feel like they understand our problems more than us. We can only get there if we have nurses sit at this parlor to defend policy at policy making rooms. And I believe that's a narrative. And we must be prepared for what? For continuous advocacy. And we should look at more diplomatic values and some political strength too, because today we have so much been in the fact that nursing is the healthcare system in general is apolitical. But you cannot engage into diplomatic ties or political discussions with governments, and you don't have these core values in you. No. So we have to get that notion inculcated in our mind and make sure that we send the right persons to represent us in these policy making capacity bodies. And we believe if that is done, I think we'll have everything resolved and everything is going to change.
Okay, so now I have a question for you, and I'm just throwing it out there. So, nurses around the globe is mostly female dominated profession. So, do you see room for males coming in and really helping in terms of policy and advocacy for nursing?
Yeah, yeah. I see more values of men coming in because even though we're trying to kick up with the assertiveness nature of nursing, I think it would rather be a plus if we have more men coming in to support our women in terms of assertiveness and assertive communication, so that if they happen to act in this way, I think so many things will change because you cannot just allow ladies to keep advocating for our professions, to keep trying to override stories, and to keep on making decisions for themselves. Whereas this profession is not somehow related to sex, so sex is not a limitation. But I
Mhm.
believe that the moment we have some few men supporting the active ladies and powerful ladies like you and the other ladies that are there advocating for this profession, things are going to change. Because
I,
today
I
we cannot name. We cannot name 10 leaders in nursing without naming at least 7 of them being female. So I think the
True.
ladies are actually bearing a heavy load, and they are supposed to be assisted by men. I would believe that the doors are not yet closed, and we're calling for these men to actually come in and honor these ladies by giving them more values and support to the achievement of this objective that we all cry for today.
That is excellent. And I couldn't agree with you more. So, as I'm looking at you, Nadasi, and you are the regional director for the whole continent of Africa. As a male, as a nurse, so passionate, how do you plan on instilling and nurturing leadership throughout the continent? How do you plan to, like, I know you always have a strategy. So what are some of your strategies for leadership for the continent of Africa?
To me, I just believe you having the right person, you identifying the right problem that we all face together, and you having a means to gather this person makes things easier. I think our main challenge is that all of us we have common problems, but the common problems are being discussed in the wrong rooms and the wrong channels. So the
Ooh.
first thing I would like to do is that we'll create a general gathering where each and every one of us can use a mic and air out their mind, because it starts from there. The wind of change starts from the anger. When people start expressing their anger, it means the wind is coming. So look for mics and give people rooms for them to be able to express themselves. And then at the end of the day, collectively, we can say, okay, this is a minimum package. This is the minimum package we are taking up back, and these are the recommendations that we're sending in for stakeholders, and this is how long we intend for these stakeholders to validate our intentions. If that's not been done, I think we can schedule for plan B of our interventions, possibly. And this will basically work if we have a well-structured ecosystem where healthcare leaders of nursing backgrounds, healthcare recruiting companies, health insurance companies, health associations, hospitals, directors can come together and sit and identify core values that we could protect at minimum. Because today this ecosystem is practically not working. So if we can actually schedule this type of an ecosystem, things are going to change, because communication is going to be fluent, and automatically it's going to be timely too, because any communication that's not timely sometimes might be challenging to meet up the objectives of the communication. So I just feel that way is going to work. And then we should also be able to include members of the government, because today so many of our seminars that we hold, government officials are not there. The
Mm.
politicians of our constituents are not there. It means to a certain level they don't actually understand the pain we go through. But I believe if if government officials come on our presentation and they see how youth are advocating for their profession and the love they have for their profession, it might change their directive, because today they always sit in their offices and they receive reports from our seminars, and being present is kind of different from you just receiving the reports.
It's
You get.
true.
So I think one of the key ways is to have these persons on the ground, and they see how the youth themselves that are directly related to the problems and the challenges that we're talking here defend these projects, and I believe they'll be able to defend. They'll be able to set in the right policies so that things might change.
It's very true. Nadasi, I'm thinking, every region has its problems and its certain challenges. And then you look at the countries, and then now you're talking about continents, and then you talk about internationally, right? At every
Mhm.
level, nurses have difficulties. So how is it that you manage to be involved on every level without burning out?
to me, to me, I've always been positive. If there's one thing I've learned from my mother is that you should never give up. And then until she always makes sure that until you receive the final end of
Mhm.
your strategy you put in place, you shouldn't give up. So if there's one thing I'm looking up to, is that each time I'm burning out, I should look up to my mother. And each time I look up at her, each time I look up to her, I always feel like there's an objective that's supposed to be achieved. And in as much as I'm supposed to be not burning out, I make sure that before I invest in any project, I make sure that I do time to evaluate every possible strategy I can use to achieve my communications. So I also have good persons around like you, when sometimes I feel like I'm burning out, I just have to get to you and then we discuss on one or few things. And before you know, the smile comes in and then in short, the burnout prevention network is always there from Nick.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
I do appreciate you guys for the wonderful job you've been doing to serve me that purpose. And then I also have this goal of always making sure that until we have achieved something, we shouldn't let it go. That story should be there. It's either you die while trying, it's
Ooh,
either,
ooh.
and you don't stop until you die. Mhm.
Viewers, you see why I say he is absolutely phenomenal. You have that spirit, Nadasi. I know you push me way beyond my comfort zone. You've pushed me to talk to people that I never would have talked to. And before I ask you your last question, I want to squeeze this one in. Um, because you are fearless and you are so focused on the mission. What would you say to nurses who are, their self-esteem might be low, they may just think that their voice is not heard, never been heard, can't be heard? What would you say to rouse up these nurses to take their stand?
What I'll make them to understand is that one, they should understand they have the autonomy, they have the capacity, they have the ability, they have everything it takes to do whatever thing they wish to do. And nursing is a free profession. So there should never be a day where they should feel chained. No. And in as much as nursing requires an interdisciplinary team approach to serving healthcare, they should also understand that to certain levels they have the autonomy for
Mm.
appropriate interventions based on what they are supposed to do. And what kills them is that they are not being assertive. That's one thing that's killing us. We've too much been transited with this notion of being a secondary profession, always being an assistant to doctors. No, we should stop. And the moment we start showing our confidence, we start showing how independent we are, we start showing our competence to the public, people will not know us. Things will not change because today, if you look at healthcare reports coming out from the hospitals, only 24% of all healthcare reports covered by media and the rest covers nursing. So the others are being covered by other practitioners. So it's high time we start using the media, we start getting all of our bedside care approaches, we start feeling that free autonomy of our profession and showcasing what we have to the public. I think only through then we are going to show how powerful we are.
Wow, that's absolutely, I am so in alignment with you, and that's absolutely powerful. Using media not just as a tool to teach, but as a tool to show our autonomy and our
Mhm.
intelligence in our profession. I
Mhm.
agree with you 100%. So my
Mhm.
last question for you is, um, it's usually I give you just some time to speak to your nurses, the nurses that you are who will be reporting to you, who will be looking to you for leadership, who would be wanting to know you a little bit better. I'm going to give you just a little bit of time. I'm going to remove myself. Your video stuck, but I'm still removing myself so that you can speak to
Mhm.
them. If you could just take a few minutes to talk to our student nurses, our nurses who are discouraged, our nurses who feel as though there is no way. You've made ways. So if you can give them just a few words, I'm going to leave the screen right now.
Okay. Nurses all over the world, my fellow nurses of might be nursing students and nurses undergoing burnout and facing challenges and who are at the point of giving up. I want you to realize that before you came into this profession, you had a core value, you had a vision, and there should never be a day where your vision should be undermined. You have the autonomy, you have the competencies, you have everything it takes. So never you give up, never you feel like somebody is trying to intimidate you that you can't be a nurse, you can't be the best of yourself. You have everything it takes. And this nursing profession is a unique road where each and every one of us has to go through. And until you get at the end of the tunnel, don't ask yourself so much questions. Make sure that you listen more, you talk less, have mentors that you look up to, have burnout prevention networks, understand key values like the role played by associations, syndicates, labor laws, contract laws, and professional insertion associations. So never you feel challenged anymore by doctors, by politicians, by diplomats who think they know more of our problems than ourselves. Thank you.
Wow, that was powerful. Oh my
Mm,
gosh, this is like one of the best 30 minutes ever. I am so privileged to have you, to work alongside you, to have you as a mentor, an advocate, and a fellow nurse. We're going to do amazing things together. We are doing, not going to, we are doing
mm,
amazing things. And I think one of the really important things as I go about really interviewing our regional ambassadors and our board members, it's really to get the public to know that this grassroots movement, usually grassroots movement, such as Nurses in Charge, you find people who are complaining or they just want to take down the structure or they're just disruptive in a negative way. But it's for the world to see that we have really assessed leaders such as yourself who have the capacity, the passion, and the heart to really, really propel a new generation of nursing. We are not angry, we are all inclusive. We want people to come together, work together, and it's just showing you to the world, right? So I
mm.
thank you, Nadasti. I just thank you so much for all the work you have done so far and are about to do.
Thank you to Casey. I think I'm very much honored to work alongside you and the whole staff of Nick, and I'm very much delighted and honored to work more. And I'm seeing the energy that's flowing from every angle, from across the region, internationally, but on LinkedIn and all our social media platforms. And I think one thing about Nick is that Nick is always open to the public, and we are also inviting the public, no matter the associations that the associations and the positions they hold in their respective associations. I want to highlight the fact that Nick is not coming here to maybe challenge or coming to do something, maybe to look down their various jobs they have been doing across their associations. But rather, we are coming in like a supportive network to support the other associations so that we can together form a bigger team that will look into the content of nursing internationally so that today, we shouldn't focus more on the divide and rule policy that's keeping us weak, but rather work in the unity and diversity approach to make things better.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it any any better myself. Oh my, this was such a privilege. Thank you so much for your time. If anyone is coming on and you want to reach out to Nadasi, please feel free. He is on LinkedIn. He is a connector, so please feel free to connect with him. If you are not part of Nurses in Charge, we are working very hard to keep this community free for all. So please join us. We would love to have you. And if you are under the region of Africa, Nadasi, he definitely will be your point person. If your country is not yet represented by an ambassador, and you would like to be an ambassador for Nurses in Charge representing your country, Nadasi would be definitely the one to help you structure leadership and support you in your local endeavors. So thank you, Nadasi. I'm gonna let you go, but this was wonderful. Thank you for your time and your energy and your passion, and I will see you soon.
Thank you, Sukasi. Take care.